My ex could satisfy me in ways you never could, she said during a fight. I stopped arguing, packed a bag, and left that night. She called the next day crying, begging me to come home, saying she didn't mean it. I said, "Go call your ex. I'm sure he'll satisfy your apologies too." Hey everyone, before we jump into the story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button if you want more content like this. Thanks. The rain drummed a steady, merciless rhythm against the kitchen window, a dull soundtrack to yet another argument looping in circles. You just don't get it, Alex. It's not the mug, it's what it represents. Jenna's voice was a blade sharpened by 2 hours of going nowhere. I leaned back against the counter, my head aching in sync with the storm outside. I'd come home after a 10-hour shift to a dark apartment and a silent girlfriend. The spark this time was a single coffee mug left in the sink. Somehow it had escalated into a sweeping indictment about her feeling invisible and undervalued. "I do get it, Jen," I said, trying to keep my tone steady. My instinctive mode, fixer. "I hear you saying you're overwhelmed, so let's solve it. We can hire a cleaner twice a month. I'll arrange it tomorrow." "It's not about hiring help," she snapped, throwing her hands in the air. "It's the principle. It's that I even have to ask. Don't you understand? I shouldn't be your supervisor. I need a partner who knows what I need without being spoon-fed instructions." A flashback, short and bitter, flickered in my mind. Sitting with her at this same table a year ago, holding her while she cried after her dad walked out on her mom. My shirt soaked with her tears. "You're my anchor," she'd whispered. "I can't imagine life without you." The memory evaporated under the weight of the present. "I'm trying to understand," I said, exhaustion creeping into my voice. "I'm literally offering a way to ease the pressure you're describing. What exactly do you want me to anticipate? Just tell me and I'll do it." She groaned, mocking my tone with a cruel imitation. "Tell me and I'll do it." Her voice dripped with contempt, so mechanical. "Where's the spark, Alex? Where's the intuition? It's like you're emotionally tone-deaf." Another flashback, her smiling weakly from a hospital bed 2 years ago after her appendix surgery. I'd slept in that horrible plastic chair for 3 nights. Brought her magazines, screened her calls, handled everything so she could rest. "You always take such good care of me," she'd said, squeezing my hand. That version of me felt like a stranger now, someone she'd gutted in this bright, suffocating kitchen. I inhaled slowly, pinching the bridge of my nose. "Okay, I know I'm not flawless, I'm logical. I see a problem, I try to fix it. That's how I operate. But if you're saying you need something different, something deeper, help me understand. What am I not giving you?" I meant it. It was a final attempt to build a bridge across the widening divide. If she'd given me a blueprint, I would have studied it like scripture. She froze. The anger on her cheeks deepened, her warm hazel eyes turning dark and sharp. The air shifted. I didn't realize it then, but I had just handed her the fuse. "What do I need?" she said softly, her tone dropping into something low and dangerous. The shouting was gone. This was personal, poisonous. "You want details? You want it broken down for your systemizing brain?" "Yes," I said, bracing myself. "I do." She stepped closer. A faint smile, cold, merciless, touched her lips. "Fine. You want the truth? Here it is." She paused, letting the silence stretch until it swallowed the room. "My ex, Mark, could satisfy me in ways you never have." At first, the words didn't make sense. They floated there, strange and disconnected, like a line from a movie in the wrong language. Then they landed. A freezing, precise spear tore straight through my chest. The rain, the fridge hum, even the pulse in my own ears, all of it vanished. The world narrowed to a crystal-clear image of her face contorted with victorious cruelty. She wasn't finished. If anything, the damage she'd done only fueled her. She leaned in, emotionally, physically, deliberately, like she wanted to carve deeper. "He made me feel wanted," she said, her voice low and cutting. "Desired, like he needed me just to breathe. And you," she let out a short, mocking laugh, "you make me feel like a checkbox on your daily routine. You're safe, dependable, like some worn-out chair someone keeps around out of habit. And I'm done being comfortable, Alex. I'm starving. Satisfy." The word rattled in my skull, filthy and merciless. Never could. Another memory surged up, uninvited and devastating. Her beneath me in this exact apartment back when everything felt new. Her eyes soft, her voice a whisper in the dark. I've never felt like this with anyone. A lie. All of it. A polished, shimmering lie. The pain exploded through me, cosmic, unbearable. A star collapsing in my chest. But even that collapsed into a cold void an instant later. The love, the fear, the plans we'd made, the laughter, the quiet mornings, they didn't burn away. They simply vanished, dissolved into nothing, swept aside by the icy truth she'd finally spoken. I looked at her. truly looked. The woman I'd imagined a future with stood there, and inside me, nothing. No fury, no heartbreak, just an immense, echoing hollowness. I didn't speak. I just turned and walked out of the kitchen. "Where are you going?" she called, an edge of uncertainty slipping into her voice. "We're not done talking." I walked down the short hallway into our bedroom. Our bedroom. The phrase felt ancient, irrelevant. Dust settling on a past life. From the closet, I pulled down my old gym duffel. "So that's it? You're running away?" she said, closer now, arms crossed but trembling at the edges. "That's what you always do when it gets tough. You shut down." I ignored her, moving with an eerie calm that didn't feel like mine. I opened the dresser, socks, shirts, boxers. I packed without folding, just placing them inside. Then the passport from the lockbox. Laptop and charger from the desk. "Alex, stop." Her voice cracked, confusion dissolving into fear. "What are you doing? Stop being ridiculous." I zipped the bag. The sound cut through the room like a closing chapter. I slung it over my shoulder, grabbed my work laptop case, and turned. She stood in the doorway, blocking me. I looked at her. Really looked. She recoiled, searching my face for something: hurt, rage, love, anything she could latch onto. She found a blank, exhausted void. "Move, please," I said, my voice level and calm, like it belonged to someone else. "No, you don't get to just leave. We're going to finish this conversation," she demanded. "There's nothing left to say," I replied, and it was the truest thing I'd ever spoken. I didn't force my way past her. I just stood there. After 3 tight, silent seconds, she stepped aside, her face drained of color. I walked down the hall, past the kitchen where the remnants of our life still clung to the air. At the door, I picked up my car keys from the bowl. "If you walk out that door, Alex, don't you dare come back," she shouted, panic sharpening into one last grasp for control. I didn't answer. I opened the door. Rain rushed in, cold and relentless. I stepped out into the wet night and closed the door gently behind me. The soft click of the latch was quieter than a whisper, but it was the loudest sound I'd ever heard. The sound of something ending. I got into my car. No slamming, no speeding. G off. I started the engine and drove slowly through the rain for 20 minutes, the heater blasting against a chill that wasn't from the weather. A motel appeared on the edge of town. Fluorescent lights humming, air stale and anonymous. I paid cash for 2 nights. In the silent, impersonal room, I sat on the edge of the stiff bed. I set my phone on the nightstand. I stared at it. I waited. Inside me, the emptiness was total. The version of me who loved Jenna no longer existed. He was still back there in that apartment, beside the coffee mug and the fractured future. The man sitting in this motel was hollowed out, and in that emptiness, there was a strange, terrible calm. The war was finished. She had won by burning the entire battleground, and as I sat in that silence, one truth settled into place: I would never fight for her again. The motel room smelled of harsh disinfectant and old cigarettes. I stayed in the dark. The only illumination came from a weak security lamp outside, its light leaking through the flimsy curtains. My phone lay face up on the nightstand, a dead black rectangle. It stayed that way for exactly 17 minutes. Then the screen lit. Her name appeared, along with a photo from brighter days. Her laughing on the beach, sunlight in her hair. The vibration rattled against the cheap particle board like something frantic trapped inside. It rang out, went to voicemail. 30 seconds later, again, and again. I didn't answer. I didn't even reach for it. I watched the calls as if I were observing an experiment. Call, voicemail, call, voicemail. A moment later, a text banner popped up. Then another, stacking over her smiling photo. I finally picked up the phone, not to respond. I opened the settings. I shut off the ringer. I disabled the vibration. I left the notifications on. I needed to witness the shift, the evolution from cruelty to desperation. It was the only thing that felt factual. I opened the messages. Jenna, 12:14 a.m. Alex, where are you? Jenna, 12:18 a.m. This is ridiculous. Come home so we can talk like adults. Jenna, 12:31 a.m. I'm worried about you. Please answer. The tone was completely wrong. It was the tone of someone looking for car keys, not someone who'd just detonated the relationship on purpose. I cleared them all, then I listened to the voicemails. The first was from the initial wave, her voice tight, composed, with a thin drizzle of concern over iron. Alex, it's me. I was upset. I said things I regret. Driving off at night isn't safe. Call me so we can talk. We'll figure it out. Deleted. The second voicemail came 20 minutes later. The control was slipping. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about the Mark comment. It was harsh. I was frustrated. But you can't just leave. We built a life. Come home, please. A harsh comment. Not a lie. Not betrayal. Not cruelty. In her mind, it was just a miscalculated jab in an argument she still believed we were having. Deleted. The third voicemail hit at 1:47 a.m. This one was different. The sound was damp, muffled. She was crying. Baby, I'm sorry. I didn't mean any of it. I was angry and I lashed out because I felt hurt. Please come home. He was terrible, you know that. You're everything he wasn't. You're steady, you're good, you love me. Please, Alex, please pick up. I love you. There it was. The full reversal. The weapon she used hours ago was now rewritten as fiction. My stability, once mocked, had become her lifeline. I felt only distant clinical observation. It was the script I'd seen forming the moment I walked out. Delete. The text kept coming, charting her panic in real time. 2:23 a.m. I can't sleep. The bed feels huge without you. I'm sorry. 3:11 a.m. Please just tell me you're safe. 5:02 a.m. You're really ending 3 years over one sentence? That one made me exhale a short, bitter laugh into the stale air. The framing of it. Suddenly, I was throwing it all away, because I refused to absorb her nuclear blast and then soothe her afterward, because I stepped out of the loop. When pale morning light seeped into the room, I finally moved. The emptiness inside had hardened into something cold and decisive. I was already gone. Ghosts don't hesitate. I called my boss, Greg, at 7 a.m. My voice was flat, detached. Greg, it's Alex. Family emergency. I'm activating the full remote clause for now. I'll be offline today, but I'll stay on top of deliverables. I'll notify HR. Greg, a good man, heard the emptiness behind the words. God, Alex. Is everything all right? Take whatever time you need. We'll manage the stand-up. Thank you. It's handled. For once, it was true. I searched online and found a short-term furnished studio across the city, available immediately. I paid the deposit with a credit card she wasn't attached to. Booked it for 3 months. Then I went to the most clinical item retrieval service I could locate. I filled out the form, task retrieve and pack belongings labeled Alex from master closet and office. Delivered to storage unit 417 at Secure Store on Market St. Entered the access code for the storage unit I'd just rented. Uploaded a photo of my driver's license, scheduled the pickup for 2 days later, a Tuesday, when she'd be working a short shift at the boutique, was dismantling our shared life with the detachment of a surgeon excising dead tissue. Clean, surgical, free of sentiment. Y-phone continued lighting silently. BR. 15 a.m. You're seriously not answering me after everything? Bray. 1:30 a.m. I called your office. Greg said you're remote. What does that even mean? What are you doing? Bray. 45 p.m. Fine, be like that. You've always been a coward. You can't handle a real woman with big emotions. Mark was right about why. Mark was right about you. A grenade. It told me the entire story in one line. She'd already contacted him. She'd run straight back to the root of the poison. The circle closed without me. Whatever faint trace of feeling remained, regret, nostalgia, disintegrated. Relief washed in. A week passed. Her messages grew sporadic, angrier. Day 5, the task people came. You had strangers pack your things. You're unbelievable, so cold. Day 7, you're really doing this, throwing everything away. I hope it was worth it. I never responded. I worked from the barren little studio, bought one set of sheets, a couple of towels, a cheap coffee maker. I ran long, punishing miles along the river trail until my chest was on fire and my mind emptied out. I joined a 24-hour gym and started going at midnight, lifting in a silent room lined with mirrors, watching my reflection move like it belonged to someone else. The physical strain was the only sensation that made sense. It was clean, straightforward pain. Then came the turning point. A text from Sarah, a mutual friend who'd always been closer to Jenna. Sarah, week 3, hey Alex, I don't want to be dragged into this, but I'm honestly worried about Jenna. She's not doing well, drinking a lot, and she's been seeing Mark again. I think she called him the night you left. I told her it was a terrible idea, but she won't listen. Just wanted you to know. I stared at the screen. No jealousy, no rage toward Mark, just a deep, tired confirmation of everything I already understood. Of course she'd run back to the man she weaponized against me. The villain she used as a measuring stick was now her comfort, predictable to the point of dullness. I typed my first reply to anyone from that old life in weeks. Me, thanks for letting me know, nothing more. No curiosity, no feeling. Just acknowledgement of received information. And then Jenna's tone began. Shifting again. The fury drained away, replaced by a bewildered, pleading edge. Week 4, why is he acting like this? He promised he was different. Week 5, he's so critical. Nothing I do is right. You were never cruel to me. Week 6, 11:18 a.m. He says I should be grateful he came back. Is that true? Am I lucky? Her grammar unraveled. The text came in the middle of the night. I pictured her curled on the couch, an empty wine bottle beside her, typing these desperate little messages into the empty space where I used to exist. Then came a voicemail. Her voice was thick, slurred, soaked in tears and something worse, defeat. "Alex, it's me. He moved in. Just for a bit," he said, "until he gets stable. But he's not doing anything. He doesn't look for jobs. He takes my car. He ordered a new TV on my Amazon account. And when I asked him about it, he blew up. Said I was obsessed with money, that I never support his dreams. You always supported me, even when my plans were stupid. Why did I'm scared, Alex. I don't know what to do. Click." I kept that one. Not out of pity, more like cataloging evidence. The full ironic cycle. The man she once praised as knowing how to make a woman feel special was now draining her, frightening her. The last puzzle piece didn't come from her. It came from a local news alert on my phone a few days later. I had city notifications turned on. The headline looked ordinary. "Police seek suspect in rental fraud and identity theft cases." I almost dismissed it. Then the name in the second paragraph froze me. The suspect, identified as Mark D., 32. I opened the article. Grainy DMV photo. Attractive in that slick, unreliable way. A smirk that practically admitted guilt. Mark? The story laid it out. Charming old partners into letting him stay temporarily. Getting access to financial info under the guise of shared investments. Opening credit lines. Then disappearing. 2 warrants out. Police believed there were more victims. I closed it. Looked out the window of my quiet, orderly studio. Sunset glowing on the buildings. I felt nothing. Not satisfaction, not vindication. Just the neat, factual ending of a story I'd stopped reading a while ago. That night my phone lit up again. Not a text, a voicemail. The last one I would ever hear from her. Her voice was a wrecked whisper. No defenses left, just raw terror. "He's gone. He took the money I saved. He stole my grandmother's necklace. The police came. They showed me his photo. They asked if I knew where he was. I think they think I was involved. Alex, he's a criminal. Everything he said was a lie. Everything I said to you, it was a lie too. I have nothing left. I'm completely alone. Please, please call me back. You're the only good thing I ever had. Please." The message ended with what might have been a sob, or her dropping the phone. I held my phone in my hand. I played the voicemail again, listening to the raw, unfiltered collapse of her world. Inside me there was only a wide, steady quiet. The peace I'd built didn't waver. Her storm was finally making landfall, but I was already far inland, sheltered in a stillness she could no longer touch. I tapped the voicemail. I hit delete. Then I opened my contacts, scrolled to her name, and pressed block this caller. The final cut, not spiteful, just necessary. A clean break. The detachment was absolute. Her unraveling belonged solely to her now. From my calm, uncluttered room, I watched the last fiber snap, feeling only the solid, immovable truth that her chaos would never reach me again. The middle had ended. The quiet was mine at last. I realized peace wasn't simply the lack of noise. It was something present, a chosen silence, SPAC. That answered only to you. 6 months after I'd walked out, I'd rebuilt a life inside that stillness. The studio apartment felt like a temporary shell now. I'd purchased a small, sleek condo overlooking the river. Bright, minimal, untouched by old ghosts. My body, once just functional, had been reshaped through discipline. Those midnight sessions in the gym had carved strength into me, not to impress, but because the weight and the burn were honest things. Work thrived in the vacuum left by emotional chaos. I'd headed a project that secured a major client, and the resulting bonus covered the condo's down payment. By any external metric, I was doing exceptionally well. But the real win was internal. The quiet inside me wasn't hollow anymore. It was open, grounded, entirely my own. When Sarah and her fiancé Ben's wedding invitation arrived, I didn't feel dread, only a faint curiosity. Sarah had been the sole fair bridge between worlds, never pushing, simply adjusting her perspective as the truth became obvious. Attending wasn't about proving anything. It was about closing a loop on my terms. I asked Maya, someone I'd been seeing casually for a few months, if she wanted to come. She was sharp, dryly funny, allergic to needless drama. We liked each other without clutching. She knew the basic outline of my past, a messy breakup with a toxic ex. That was enough. A wedding with your ex's old crowd? She joked, lifting a brow. Sounds like a psychological thriller. I'm in. I'll bring snacks. The venue was a renovated barn in the hills. As we walked in, Maya slipped her hand into the crook of my arm like it was the easiest thing in the world. I wore a tailored navy suit that fit the frame I'd earned. I felt steady, present. I saw Jenna within 10 minutes. She stood alone near the bar, holding a champagne flute like she didn't know what else to do with her hands. She wore a dress I recognized, one she'd bought for a wedding we'd attended over a year ago. It hung loose now. Her face, once lively, was drawn tight, her eyes skimming the room with a restless, haunted tension. The sharp, cruel woman from the kitchen was gone. In her place stood a pale echo wearing a memory. She noticed me. Her whole body stiffened. I watched her gaze travel from my face, down the suit, to Maya beside me. Maya laughing at something the bartender said, luminous in a simple emerald dress, relaxed and confident. The comparison hit Jenna like a blunt force. Her free hand drifted to her stomach. I offered a small neutral nod, then turned to introduce Maya to a couple from my old kickball team. I was warm, conversational. I laughed easily. I could feel Jenna's stare pressing between my shoulder blades for the next hour. During the reception, after dinner, Maya went to dance with Sarah's cousins. I stayed at the table, sipping a whiskey, smiling at the chaos of the dance floor. I sensed someone approach. Jenna stood there, her glass now empty. Up close, the wear was unmistakable. Fine lines that hadn't existed before, a brittle tension in her stance. "Alex," she said softly. I nodded. "Jenna." My voice carried the civility reserved for a coworker I barely remembered meeting. "You look good," she said, and the words looked like they hurt. "Thanks." I didn't return the sentiment. I took a slow sip, eyes drifting back to Maya, who was coaxing Ben into an offbeat attempt at the electric slide. The silence between us stretched, heavy with history. Jenna swallowed. I don't know what to say." She stared at her hands, twisting the glass stem. "I saw the news about Mark, everything." I waited. I wasn't going to rescue her. "He was everything you said he wasn't," she murmured, like each word was being torn out. Her eyes filled, the tears real this time, tears built from humiliation, from the wreckage of her own choices. "He used me, took money, jewelry, left me with a credit card balance I can't pay. The cops, they treated me like I helped him. Everything you gave me, everything we were, it was real. And I ruined it. I was so stupid." The tears slipped freely now, and she waited for the old version of me, the healer, the shield, the man who once let her pain become his burden. That man was gone. She was offering up her brokenness like it was currency, a key she believed could still turn the lock. I placed my whiskey glass on the table with a soft final clink. Then I looked at her, direct, steady, utterly unmoved. "I know about Mark," I said, my voice even. "Sarah told me. I read the article." Her head jerked up, hope sparking wild and bright in her tear-shined eyes. "See?" she breathed, stepping closer. "You see what he did to me? What I went through? I've learned my lesson, Alex. God, I learned it the hardest way possible. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." She leaned into the apology, assuming it was the bridge back. She was ready for the expected lines. For me to say, "It's all right," or, "I'm sorry you went through that." She waited for the familiar script. The soft landing, the emotional rescue, the reconciliation arc. I didn't move. I didn't hand her a tissue. I simply returned her own logic with perfect, unshakable calm. My tone was still, like morning water. "Go call your ex, Jenna." She froze, blinking. The cue was wrong. I continued, the final truth clicking needle. "Why into place with cold clarity? I'm sure he'll appreciate your apologies too." For a moment, nothing happened. Then the meaning detonated, behind her eyes. The first emotion wasn't rage, it was a deep, devastating horror. The cruelty she'd hurled at me in our kitchen had been distilled, sharpened, and delivered back, not as fury, but as a simple, irrefutable fact. I wasn't refusing her with anger. I was refusing her with her own past. All color drained from her face. Her mouth parted, but no sound emerged. Hope folded in on itself like burning paper. She stumbled back a step as if struck. Before she could speak, laughter cut through the tension. Maya slipped an arm easily around my waist, cheeks flushed from dancing. "That got chaotic fast," she joked, then noticed Jenna. "Oh, hi." Jenna stared at Maya's hand on me, the effortless closeness, the vibrant proof that my life had moved forward. She looked stunned, hollowed out. I turned to Maya, my posture softening, a real smile forming. "Maya, this is Jenna, an old friend." "Jenna, this is my girlfriend, Maya, an old friend." The final downgrade. Not a great love, not a tragedy, just a footnote. Maya offered a polite hand, unaware she was stepping into emotional fallout. "Nice to meet you." Jenna's hand shook as she took it, barely managing the briefest contact. Her eyes stayed locked on mine, begging silently, but finding nothing to hold on to. "We were just catching up," I told Maya lightly. "Ready to head back out? I think there's a photo booth." "Absolutely," Maya grinned. I gave Jenna one last casual nod. "Take care of yourself." Then I turned, guiding Maya toward the dance floor with a gentle hand at her back. I didn't glance behind me. I didn't have to. I could feel the void collapsing around Jenna, the crushing realization settling deep. The man she'd shattered was gone. The man standing before her was someone she could and touch, couldn't sway, couldn't reach. Healed, whole, irreversibly out of her orbit. Later, stepping into the cool night air, Maya squeezed my hand. She seemed intense, she said lightly. I looked up at the sky, its scattered stars clear and unburdened, and inhaled the clean night air. I felt the last lingering echo of that old chapter evaporate. She was, I said, brushing her knuckles with a soft kiss, a lifetime ago. And it was true. In the wide, quiet peace I carried now, Jenna and her chaos were less than a memory. They were nothing, and that was the most satisfying ending of all. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and hit the like button. What do you think of this story? Drop your thoughts in the comments.